Zay, we're getting into the album swap discussion here. You want to go first or second today?
I'll go second.
You'll go second. All right, that means we are starting with Iron Man from Ghostface Killah. This is the 5th solo album from Wu-Tang that we're dealing with. And after this, after listening to, let me see if I get this right this time. After listening to Built for Cuban Links, the purple tape.
There we go.
There it is. I had already obviously gotten comfortable with Raekwon and Ghostface Killah. This is kind of a switch around where Ghostface gets the head billing, but Raekwon and Capadonna are both on the album cover.
Correct.
And I mean their names are on the album cover. Right. So they are given credit, and basically there are lots and lots of songs on this album where you get Raekwon. I really understand why RZA liked those two guys together. They worked very well together.
Right.
Either way. So I really enjoyed it. And this one for me, Zay, I saw this album described as a combination of Bruce Lee and Gladys Knight. And I thought that was an interesting way to put it. A lot of interesting samples on there. You don't have it's not as mobster as what Cuban Links was. It's not quite that. And it's not quite as wordy and super intelligent as Liquid Swords.
Right.
Not quite there. But it's still got the same, it's got the craftsmanship is reminiscent of it. RZA's incredible with everything that he does. The beginning sequence on a song, I'm going to love a song called Iron Maiden, by the way. That beginning sequence with the kid talking is fantastic. The track later on, Black Jesus, track 13, with that crazy, philosophical stuff at the beginning of it is a wild little interlude. And I haven't read up enough about it, but there is some religious connection to it from Ghostface Killah. There's a specific version of, I guess, his religion at the time that is coming through in that track. But there's a lot of great stuff on here. The first one that jumped out at me was Assassination Day. I think that's a great song. Winter Wars is a great song. I've learned through this Wu-Tang stuff, I love it when you take good, hard, tough male rap and add a female voice in the right spot, the right way. It's incredible. And Winter Wars has a little bit of that, but also All That I Got Is You later on featuring Mary J. Blige.
Oh, that's such a good change of pace.
Working her voice into it. And also that's what I would call just a straight up realistic life kind of rap song. Yeah. You don't get a ton of them, but when they're done right, it's awesome. Maybe my favorite Tupac song is what's the Tupac song?
Dear Mama.
Not Dear Mama,
Brenda's Got a Baby.
The one for the ladies. What's it called? Keep Your Head Up.
Oh, Keep Your Head Up.
Keep Your Head Up.
Yeah.
That may be my favorite Tupac because it's so real.
Yeah.
I love the realism of that. And that's what I get out of All That I Got Is You. And Daytona 500, which you played coming in. I'm glad I was able to recognize that. The Motherless Child. Kame is the song.
That's my joint.
Dude, Kame, I've had that in my head for a week now. Oh, no, say goodbye. Love is gonna. All those little samples they use, I can't get rid of it. It's fantastic. The rapping is great. The references are just well thought out. The way they bring in other members of the group and reference them. Poison Darts is a good track. So I enjoyed it, man. From 96, late 96 on this album. I hate to continue to be a broken record on this, Zay. I don't think it was as good as Cuban Links. I'm battling whether it was as good as Liquid Swords. I'm trying to figure out where I would compare those two. But to me, this is like a high B, low A again. I'm right in that area where, if I'm going to be honest for what this is, I think it's an A album. I think this is like a 9.0, a 9.1, somewhere in there.
Damn. Yeah.
I think it's
a little high for me.
Okay. I think it's you would tell me that Cuban Links is the best of these. What's your favorite of the solo albums?
Cuban Links, my favorite, then Liquid Swords, and then this one.
Okay.
I like you said, just Raekwon and Ghostface's chemistry is unmatched. And RZA, the beats were crazy. This is kind of the first time you saw Capadonna. And Ghostface Killah, he'll let you know himself, he wasn't as locked in as he has been for other albums with this one.
Yeah.
Because he just found out he had diabetes, so he was dealing with that. And he knew he had to meet a date with the album and stuff. So That's why you see on the song Faster Blade, he ain't even on it.
Oh, is that right?
It's just all Raekwon. And there's another song where he's not on it either. So I think it's an incredible album. I'll give it a B, like around an 8.5 or so. But if you've listened to other Ghostface Killah albums like Supreme Clientele and Fish Scale, those albums are better than this one. But this one is the one Ghostface album that has that woo feel, which is the reason why I wanted you to listen to it. It's the last individual album that's a part of the classic 5-year run from 93 to 97.
I tell you what, we'll kick back. I'll go 8.8. How about that? We'll go
cool.
We'll go 8.8 on Iron Man. Another weird fact I read is that RZA says that Ghostface sounds different on this album because they had a flood in the studio.
Yes.
It ruined all the equipment and they had to re-record. I thought that was interesting too.
Yeah, so people say Ghostface Killah and Action Bronson have the same voice. And those guys have actually had to squash a beef because people were like, yo, you realize you sound like Ghostface, right? And Action, just so disrespectful, go, yeah, I've heard that, but Ghost ain't rhyming like this no more. And Ghostface put out like this diss video of just calling Action Bronson husky and definitely not saying husky.
Yeah.
Way disrespectful than I'm being. And I've never heard the comparison. When I hear Ghostface and I hear Action Bronson, I can tell the difference.
I need to listen to more Action to know. I wouldn't have thought of that. So,
we'll get there.
All right, so we'll definitely give it some love to Iron Man. All right, Zay, let's get to Back in Black. In July of 1980 is when the album came out. It is one of the best-selling albums of all time. What did you think of Back in Black?
Really good. Really good. 10 songs. I'm not going to front. A lot of them were similar to another. You told me that. You warned me.
AC/DC, yeah, that's kind of part of their DNA. You're going to get what you get.
Yeah, but when I went back and looked at the history and the story, it's pretty fascinating. The fact that Bon Scott died, as y'all know, but your boy being a hip-hop head, I did not. And the fact that Brian Johnson just came in, he was already with a group in the 70s, and Mutt Lange requested them. Somebody else requested them to Malcolm and Angus Young. So the guys were like, we gotta at least try. And Brian Johnson went and said, yo, I don't even know if I want to get back into music due to the ups and downs that he had with his previous groups.
Right,
so,
he hadn't had a lot of success at that point.
He hasn't had a lot of success. And plus, trying to replace Bon Scott, that must have been tough for him. But
Brian was a huge AC/DC fan. He loved it.
Yeah. So just knowing that they went to the Bahamas, like once Brian Johnson got the gig, they went to the Bahamas, performed the album. You know, it's pretty incredible, the story. And yeah, I've listened to this song. I've heard this song my whole life. Right. Whether it's commercials, movies, I've always heard this song, just never knew who the hell it was.
Legendary stuff. Back in Black, You Shoot Me All Night Long, and Hell's Bells. Those are the three songs that everybody's going to know. And interesting thing I read, Brian Johnson. So Bon died in February of 80. Brian Johnson became the official lead singer 43 years ago yesterday, March 29th of 1980, and they put the album out in July. That's how fast that all happened. I've heard stories of the Young brothers going to the funeral, not knowing if they were ever going to play again.
Yeah.
Ever. And it all came together, and I'm glad you saw it too. I didn't realize it was Mutt Lange that suggested Brian Johnson to them.
Yeah, producer for Asteria.
I'd never really heard that part of it, and this song always gets me because the very first thing you hear out of Brian Johnson, the very first thing is Hell's Bells.
Right.
It's unbelievable. And I never realized there was a massive tropical storm while they were recording. So when he says, I'm rolling thunder, pouring rain, I'm coming on like a hurricane.
That was that real.
He was kind of talking about outside at the time. And it's incredible stuff. Over about 50 million copies worldwide. It went 25 times platinum in 2019, becoming the fourth best-selling album in the U.S. by a certain marker. But by another worldwide list I saw, only Michael Jackson's Thriller has sold more total records than this one.
Yo, it's crazy. I mean, I need to go back and listen to Bon Scott, AC/DC.
Yeah, there's some good stuff. You definitely need to check out.
I want to hear the difference.
Yeah,
but Brian Johnson's voice is so unique. And do they still perform? Now, is everybody alive still?
So AC/DC is now back together with Brian. Brian had to take a little time off because of deafness. He's had some ear issues, but they've gotten it to the point where he was able to get back for a new album, and I believe he is now able to tour again.
Yeah, but the voice, how is he able to get the voice to that?
Yeah, I think the voice is still fine, man, because I think if you ever hear him interviewed, he sounds like that. He sounds gravelly, scratchy, and that's just the way he sings. So I think, and I'll be honest, I haven't seen AC/DC in a few years.
Okay.
Especially with Brian, because they had the period where he wasn't with them. But I think he can still get it done.
Yeah, and then like you hear about Malcolm and Angus Young like at the funeral, and Bon Scott's dad's like, "Y'all better keep going."
Yes, that's it. That's true.
Y'all like you. I know you probably want to stop because of my son. I get that. Nah.
Yeah.
Y'all better keep going. Find somebody else and make history. And they did that. Because you could easily say, all right, we're not the group without this guy.
Right.
And a lot of bands probably would have did that. But, yo, when you have Slash saying they saved rock and roll in that era, that's high praise. And I get why the album is so popular and big time.
It's a huge record. It crosses over so many things. It took us from rock and roll. It pushed it a little bit. You push a little harder, you get to Motorhead and other hard rock stuff like that. You push a little harder, you can get to heavy metal, Priest, Maiden. Push harder, you get Metallica and Slayer and stuff like that. But AC/DC, man, these songs, Zay, I'm gonna tell you, when I go to shows, when I go to concerts, and they play this album, anything on this album, like as you're waiting for the next act to come on, there's very few things that buzz a crowd like these songs. It's weird. Play Back in Black, play Hell's Bells. The fans will sing along with every word. They'll play like Shoot to Thrill right before somebody comes on stage, and it just gets the whole place energized.
So, like, is Brian Johnson good with performing Highway to Hell and all that stuff? Like, he still rocks it? Yeah.
Oh, heck yes.
Yeah.
He does a lot of the great old stuff. Yeah, you need to go back and check out Highway to Hell.
Like, I've always known Highway to Hell. I've always known that song.
That's Bon. Let There Be Rock is Bon. That's a great song. You Dig Whole Lotta Rosie, which celebrates having relations with a woman that's a little bigger. Maybe a little bit bigger than some.
Ain't nothing like no big bone woman.
The Jack is a great old Bon Scott song. That's about passing things along to someone in the bedroom that they may not want to receive. One of the original STD rock songs. That's fantastic. If you go check out some old Bon Scott. So there you go. You got a grade for me on Back in Black?
8.5.
Going to 8.5. You are a hard grader. I appreciate that.
Yeah, it's good.
You are a tough grader.
Some of the songs were similar, only 10.
Yeah.
8.5. Love the classics.
8.5. Hell's Bells to Rock and Roll Ain't Noise Pollution is Back in Black. All right, there you go. Our album swap.